My daughter was turning 5, and I wanted to throw a small, cozy party right in our neighborhood. Just a handful of friends, some balloons, cake, and a few laughs to celebrate her big day. I spent a whole afternoon making simple, colorful invites, personally handing them out to neighbors, hoping everyone would join in on the fun. Among those invites was Karen, the notorious HOA queen who somehow thinks her title gives her superpowers. She's always been a thorn in the neighborhood's side, but I figured maybe a party for a kid would be harmless enough. Turns out I was wrong. Welcome to Prodigy Tales. Make sure you like and subscribe for your top-notch HOA drama. Karen didn't just decline my invite, she unleashed a storm. The very next day, she showed up at my door, all high and mighty, clutching some obscure HOA regulation like it was the Ten Commandments. According to her, hosting a party, even one that lasted only 2 hours, would distort the peace and tranquility of our cherished neighborhood. She gave me the ultimate threat, a hefty fine so massive it could probably buy her a second luxury vacation home. I tried reasoning with her, but Karen just smirked and repeated, "Rules are rules, and I enforce them." My daughter's party was canceled before the cake even made it to the table. What irked me the most wasn't the fine threat, it was the sheer audacity of Karen dictating what we could and couldn't do on our own property. People like Karen have built their entire lives around control and power trips, and she thrived on wielding it over anyone she deemed beneath her. So for weeks, I watched as Karen strutted around like a queen, reminding everyone she was the HOA boss, making sure every blade of grass and parking space adhered to her kingdom's laws. Still, I kept my cool, but I also started noticing something peculiar. Karen's peaceful neighborhood didn't stop her from throwing wild parties that would make a rock concert jealous. That's right, loud music, crowds, and late-night chaos all under her own roof, with zero repercussions. I couldn't help but laugh at the hypocrisy. If a simple birthday party was a disturbance, how was she allowed to host ragers that shook the whole block? Something was definitely off, and I decided to keep an eye on her next move. 2 months passed, and I tried to push Karen out of my mind, but the neighborhood buzzed with rumors about her wild, nonstop parties. Then came the day I heard it firsthand, a massive house party at Karen's place, and I wasn't even invited. It felt like a slap in the face, especially after she had shut down my daughter's simple celebration with threats and fines. Curiosity got the better of me, so I marched right over to her house the next morning, ready to ask how she got away with breaking the no party rule she'd used against me. Karen answered the door, hair perfectly coiffed, with that smug grin that screams, "I own this place." She didn't even try to hide it. "I'm HOA," she said flatly, like that explained everything. "I make the rules and I can break them if I want. You, on the other hand, you play by the book." When I pressed her about fairness and neighborhood peace, she waved me off like I was a pesky fly buzzing around her throne. "Honey, you don't get to lecture me about peace. I'm the law here." I could almost hear her chuckle as she slammed the door in my face. That moment lit a fire inside me. If Karen was going to play dirty, so was I. The neighborhood was supposed to be a community, not her personal playground where she could enforce rules on others but live by her own twisted code. She wasn't just a Karen. She was the dictator of this little kingdom, and I was ready to shake that throne. I started digging. I asked around discreetly, learning about her party habits, her obsession with control, and her little secrets, things she thought no one knew. Turns out her ragers were infamous. Neighbors complained about noise, trash, and even strange visitors late at night, but Karen's HOA power shielded her from consequences. I realized this was my chance to show everyone the double standards Karen thrived on. Not with words, no, actions. It was time to plot. I had to outwit her, hit back without getting caught, and make her feel the humiliation she'd happily inflicted on others. I knew Karen's parties were an opportunity too good to pass up. The stakes were high, but so was the satisfaction of watching her crumble. I just needed the perfect plan, one that would turn her precious party upside down, disrupt her control, and leave her begging for mercy. And believe me, I was ready to crack this nut wide open. The countdown to Karen's next party began, and I could barely contain my excitement. The neighborhood was buzzing about it. Fancy invitations, a guest list that looked more like a who's who of HOA sycophants, and the usual promises of exclusivity and chaos. Meanwhile, I wasn't on the list, which was just fine by me. I wasn't planning to crash her party like some common gatecrasher. No, I had something much better in mind. I caught a glimpse of Karen setting up her backyard fortress. Expensive decorations, pricey catering, and a DJ blasting "I'm the Queen" vibes through the speakers. All she needed now was to throw her reign of terror over the entire block, and I was ready to bring the thunder. Uh, I invited a few trusted neighbors to share my suspicions about Karen's hypocrisy. Nobody liked her, but most were too scared to stand up. Not anymore. I suggested something outrageous, something wild that would flip Karen's world upside down, but without putting anyone in harm's way. My plan was wicked, yes, but precise. We needed to send a message louder than Karen's DJ could blast. I spent days researching, getting my hands on some harmless but terrifying little critters. Scorpions. Not the lethal kind, but enough to cause chaos. I secured them in containers designed for quick release and kept the operation under wraps. Every move had to be calculated. No slip-ups allowed. The night of the party arrived. From a safe distance, I watched Karen strut around like the queen of the night, oblivious to the storm I was about to unleash. As her guests danced and drank, I slipped through a side gate, heart pounding, and released my secret weapons where they'd cause maximum panic but no real danger. Within minutes, pandemonium erupted. Guests screamed and scattered as tiny pincers scuttled across the yard. The music screeched to a halt, and Karen's perfect party spiraled into a nightmare. Someone dialed the police, and animal control showed up quick, but thankfully, no one was hurt. The chaos was glorious. The best part? No one had a clue who was behind it. Karen was left fuming, her party ruined, and her reputation shredded. The neighborhood had a new story to tell, a tale of karma served scorpion style. The aftermath of Karen's ruined party was electric. Rumors spread like wildfire, how scorpions had invaded her so-called perfect celebration, sending guests screaming into the night. Karen's usual smug composure was nowhere to be found. Instead, she paced her mansion, throwing tantrums loud enough to shake the neighborhood she claimed to protect. The HOA gossip mill went into overdrive, and I watched with satisfaction as Karen's control slipped like sand through her fingers. The police and animal control did their rounds, questioning guests and inspecting the scene. But scorpions don't leave fingerprints, and no one suspected me. I played the perfect innocent neighbor, feigning shock and sympathy while secretly savoring every moment of her downfall. Karen tried to spin it as some bizarre accident or prank from a rival, but whispers about her losing grip on the neighborhood were impossible to ignore. Meanwhile, the neighbors who had long endured Karen's oppressive reign finally found courage. People started speaking up, sharing stories of her hypocrisy and abuse of power. The tables were turning, and Karen's empire was cracking under the weight of her own arrogance. Of course, Karen fought back. She tried to tighten her HOA grip even more, threatening fines and rules like a scared bully desperate to hold on. But this time, her threats fell on deaf ears. The neighborhood had tasted freedom, and they weren't ready to hand it back to her. And me? I stayed quiet, watching the chaos unfold from the sidelines, knowing my little scorpion sting had been the spark that ignited a much bigger fire. Karen's house party disaster was just the beginning of her unraveling, and trust me, the neighborhood would never look at her the same way again. The end. Please like and subscribe for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think Karen got what she deserved? Comment below.